This is Algebra 1, Lesson 10a, Division by Zero, and Example 10.1. Division and multiplication undo each other, so they are called inverse operations, like we discussed in a previous video. Here's some examples. 3 times 2 is equal to 6, so that means we can rewrite that same multiplication fact as a division. 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. We could also rewrite it as 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. Okay? Now, you can notice some things here. If you multiply this number that we're dividing by times this answer, you should get this number. Okay? Multiply this times this, and you get this, right? So let's consider something new. What is then 6 divided by 0? Well, the most common answer I usually get is people will say 0. They'll say, well, they'll think a minute and they'll say, well, it's 0. But look, the pattern doesn't hold here. 0 times 0 is 6. Is that true? That is not true, is it? Okay, so it can't be 0. So let's think of something else. Well, another common answer I'll hear is 6. Well, if that's true, then 6 times 0 is equal to 6. But 6 times 0 is not equal to 6, right? In fact, any real number multiplied by 0 is going to always be 0. So what number would work here? Is there any number that would work? Well, is there any number that when you multiply by 0, you're going to get 6? Well, there's not. So actually, what you will say is this is undefined. Now, I usually tell students a way that you can remember undefined is when the 0 is under, okay? You can think of it as underfined, right? Undefined. Here are a few other examples, and I'm going to talk about the ones over here first. Here we can obviously see this one's going to be undefined. This one's going to be undefined. This one's going to be undefined. Okay, so these are all undefined. The 0 is under. Dividing by 0 would be undefined. Okay, this one actually has its own name. Okay, because if you think about it, if you put 0 here, you could say 0 times 0 is 0. See, it works, right? But think about this for a second. 0, how many zeros are in 0, right? That's indeterminate is what they call it, I believe. They said indeterminate. Making sure I spell it right. Okay, so that one has a special name, and it does say in the book, it says, we say that 0 divided by 0 is indeterminate rather than saying it is undefined. Thus, these indicated divisions have no meaningful simplifications. So, division by 0 is undefined, okay? And then 0 divided by 0 is indeterminate. All right, I'm going to go ahead and simplify these. 4 minus 2, this is example 10.1. 4 minus 2 is 2, and 2 minus 2 is 0. And 0 divided by 13, you may be doubting yourself and saying, well, I think it's 0. Is that true? 0 times 13 is 0. And if you think about it being modeled, if you have nothing, okay, I would draw a person with a pocket here if I could draw that. Okay, here's their box. Okay, look in the box. There is nothing in the box. If they're going to divide that nothing between 13 people, what do all the people get? They get nothing, right? When 0 is under, that's when you have undefined, because you can't divide by 0. We are dividing by 13 here, and that's okay. All right, in B, let's simplify this. 4 minus 2 is 2, and 2 minus 2 is 0, and we end up with 13 on top. This is a different situation. This is a box that has 13 somethings in it, and you're trying to divide it into not one pile, you're dividing it into nothing. How many nothings are in there? Yeah, we can't do that, right? There's no number that you can put here that when you multiply it by 0, you're going to get 13. So what do we say then? We say undefined. The 0 is under.